This is the second devlog of Slimecing, and today we'll be looking at the character controller for the movement of the slimes. Now this handles like slopes and ledges and grounding, as well as movement. Movement is all force-based using rigid body. So it's a little different approach compared to what you do with a normal character controller. The reason we're using rigid body for Slimecing is because I want the pushback from the fencing is force based, and that was kind of my favorite way of doing that. I don't have to do as much like math for each physics interaction, which what I have to do with the character controller, so it just makes my life easier down the road. But so far this has been the longest script and the most difficult one. I spent like 2 weeks on it for this thing of just, well, more like 3 weeks, but 2 weeks of actual work on it. And we had a lot of bugs come up just through testing and stuff like that. But here we'll show off the slope handling and the grounding, as well as everything. I'll have it maximized on play so I can describe more in detail and everything, because we'll just be focusing on the actual execution of what's going on here. So let's get into it. Alright, so the slime is grounded, and we got this little green circle here that's inside of the slime. This is like, Unity describes like a sphere cast as a large ray cast, so basically that's what we're doing here, is a large ray cast. That black circle is ledge checking. I had a bug with ledge checking because how the force is handled when going up slopes is it will get the normal of the slope, and that will be the angle at which the force is applied. But once you get to the edge of a slope, the angle starts to come down, so you'd get stuck. So that just basically checks if there is a ledge there. There's probably a better way of doing that, but for right now, it's what works, so that's what I'm going with. The blue circle is just checking for any additional slopes that aren't caught by grounding, just to make the moving, like the going from entering to a slope, usually one at a high angle, a little bit more seamlessly from transition. So let's get into slopes. The bubbles are a little bit weird, so we'll go to them last, and we'll go to one's actual work. So normal flat slopes work nicely. I can move around on the slopes. How the grounding actually works is it does the ray cast, but then it also checks if you're colliding with a surface, because there's some like floating that can occur, and because this is a square collider and not usually like the capsule based you'll be seeing in like most games, I was having some trouble with the floating. It would be floating like above quite a bit, just because the ray cast, but it will have some trouble getting slopes. It worked perfectly with slopes, but once you got to the ground it'd float a little bit. But so basically how I'm doing is I'm doing a ray cast check, and then I'm also checking if it's collided, if it's also grounded, and we'll get in a bit to like how that works with straight walls and some of that later. But as you can see, you can just dance around on this slope. We can go up and over, can dash, and it works great. Yeah, and go off a little bit, like slowly. Perfect. Here's a little test thing with a rotating platform that just hits you, so it's kind of fun. Just get launched off the slide. Can be facing in weird directions, and it will still go up. Again, we can go up sideways a little bit too. Then with bubbles, they're a little bit weird. Probably with a step distance, but you can get up them, but it takes a little bit slower of a work, just because all the normals that are in play. But it still works. One of the things, these are rigid bodies. One of the things, I used to use move position for the movement for the slimes, for the first release of it, and that came to some problems with pushing, because what would happen is you'd push a block and then you'd slide off it, and you wouldn't actually like collide with it. Like, see, I can bump into this and kind of throw it around, and I could push it, and it feels really good. This is a little bit heavier of a block, so you gotta kind of dash it to get that kinetic energy going. But yeah, now the pushing just works so much nicely ever since I changed to the force-based movement. It's all force-based, so it's all add force, and then other than the rotation, it's not add torque or anything. But we can push this up with relative ease. This one gotta kind of get going first, but we'll see. Haven't tested this out yet, but there we go. Get it moving. Oh, yeah, it's a little bit too much. Oh, there we go. Just gotta dash at it. Yeah, but we can dance on this and push it up there. Just gotta give it some effort because it's a slope. Gravity's working against us, but yeah, we can dance on this slope. We can go to the very edge, try and clip ourselves, which is with the ledge checking. So as you can see, the normal is flat. Without that ledge checking, it would have been bending down. I would have been stuck here and I wouldn't be able to move. But since we checked the ledge and we realize that there's a ledge there, we change it back to the last known good configuration of the movement there. Got some other tests here. I got a max angle limit. Right now it's at 50, so we can go up this just fine, and the 20 just fine, and the 30 just fine. It looks a little weird with a square character, but it doesn't matter to me. I don't really want any snapping. I rather just it go up nicely. Snapping's just a little bit too weird for controller, but if we try to go up to 60, it doesn't work. We can launch ourselves up onto it, but we can just climb it a little bit once we get onto it. But at the starting angle of 60, we can't go up it, and that will also be shown here. We got some weird angles here. We got the 60 angle, so we can't even get up this at all. But here's the 40 angle, and we go this up smoothly, even with all the little ridges and bumps. We can get up this with relative ease and go up to the very top here. Oh, there, I slipped off, but there's that. And then we'll show some wall collisions, so you don't get stuck to the wall when you come off it. So here we'll go up this slope here, and then onto this flat ground up here, and then we'll move here. And then usually what will happen with like a rookie system is when you get the collision like staying, usually what will happen is it will it will say a wall is ground, but since we're doing the raycast and checking for ground, that does not happen, so we can slowly slide down this. I'm dashing at it, and once we hit the ground, we are officially grounded, and then we can move just nicely. And then I guess I will show. I had some trouble with just getting the grounding raycast, and it's like perfection. So, but here, just show you can get right to the edge there, and it will still count us as grounding, and we can even just jump off if we wanted to. But that's like right at the edge of the collider there. I can actually show you in the scene view. Oh, I unplayed it, but yeah. Anyways, that is the Slimecing movement system. Look over here. Very intense system with a lot of stuff. I have artificial gravity and all that. Anyways, it works great. After 2 weeks of work, pretty happy with it. Might have to go back and refactor some things, especially if I wanted to include steps and whatnot. But right now I'm happy with it, and I feel like that's all that will be needed for Slimecing for the future development. Alright, well, that's it.